So what do you think makes something a tale of our time?
I think a book is made to be a tale of our time when it grips you, it takes you in, and it's a book that anyone can relate to.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Tales of Our Times. This is a show where we discuss the stories that move us, what makes them so meaningful, and why others could or should find meaning in them as well. This is not a spoiler-free show, so bear that in mind as you continue to listen. We tackle books, movies, comics, and more. Where there's a story, there's a reason to read. I'm your host, Amanda Stevens, and joining me today is my friend and returning guest, Kris St.Amour Denis.
Yeah.
Welcome.
I'm so happy to be back.
Yeah, thank you. Now, some people may remember you, but just in case, would you mind introducing yourself?
Of course. So I'm Christine. I'm from Montreal, Canada. I've been living in Taipei for 2 years now. I'm a bookish girly who co-hosts a silent reading group with Taipei Mindful Gatherings.
Mm-hmm. And so today, we don't have any special theme in mind. We're just talking about a book that you recently read, which I am excited to read about because it seems hilarious to me. So what is that you brought for us today?
Yeah, for this final edition, I decided on a short novel that was part of the Goodreads debut darlings category challenge for July to September called Blob by Maggie Su.
And so I'm excited about this because I know of the Blob from like typical 1950s, 60s horror movies.
Yeah.
And is this related to that in any way? Because if you look at the cover, it does seem to be like oobleck or goo, just like smashed onto it.
Yeah. I mean, I guess there is like a horror / sci-fi element to the book, which is interesting because, yeah, the Blob is like, it's a gelatinous sentient blob that ends up becoming a man.
Oh, my
So,
goodness.
Yeah. It's a very interesting take. It's set in the real world.
Okay.
But because of the Blob's
Not because of the Blob
essence,
existing.
Yeah. It definitely gives it that kind of backdrop.
Like a sci-fi thing, maybe potentially horror. Okay. Well, before we get started, I guess that does seem like something that we need to know. Do you think that there's anything else we need to know, or should we just dive right in?
I mean, I was really drawn to the concept of this book because the female main character is a young Taiwanese American woman. And essentially the storyline is her love story with the Blob because the cover does also say a love story.
Yes.
So I was very intrigued with the premise of that book. So I guess don't pick a book just based on the cover, but this is definitely one that I would tell people, yes, do pick this book based on the cover. It's very It's a very interesting read.
Okay. Well, I'm excited. So let's get into it. Kris, can you give us a summary of the Blob?
Sure. So the female main character is named Vi, and she's an engineering student who dropped out of university and is now working at a local motel. And the Blob, this gelatinous goo thing, she finds in an alleyway behind a dive bar. You know, one night she goes out with a coworker. She's quite drunk. She's feeling lonely over her breakup with her ex, Luke, and she just decides to take it home.
Inexplicably to me, it takes this Blob back home.
Well, I mean, I think already by this point in the story, the reader can tell that Vi has difficulty navigating through her relationships, through flashbacks of her childhood, young adulthood with her family, her friends, her partners. So it makes sense that she wants something quote unquote easy to latch onto. Like it literally can't say anything because it only has a blob body.
Did you
and
see
like
it
two
moving
beady
around?
eyes.
Oh, it has eyes.
Yeah.
Oh. Okay. All right, continue. So now I see a little bit why she would want to take it home.
Yeah. She takes it home. She gives it cereal and water. She leaves it in her living room overnight. And, you know, after the first night, she sets it up in front of her TV. And, you know, since she lives alone, she kind of starts talking to it. And then she was calling it Blob, Blob, Blob. And then one day she makes a mistake and she goes, Bob.
So the Blob becomes Bob.
Yes.
And is still living now. And this is over some period of time. Is the Blob changing, or is she just like talking to Bob the Blob?
The book happens very quickly. So I think it's only over like a period of 48 hours that all this has happened.
Oh my
right?
God. Okay.
So like the first night she takes it home, gives it food and water, puts it in front of the TV. The next day she goes to work, comes back, it's watching TV, hasn't changed.
Yeah, it's
but
a Blob.
The TV's on a different channel. The next day after that, she's going around trying to clean her apartment, and she comically tells it, like, if you're going to live here, you might as well give me a hand.
Yeah.
And it grows a hand.
Okay.
So just a hand.
I
like
love
a
that.
blob
Yes,
body
yes.
and just a hand.
Oh.
But then she starts getting curious, right? And so she's like, grow an arm. So the arm attaches to the hand. And then she's like, grow a neck. So then
Why
it's like,
would you start from okay, that's fine. Vi has her own thought process.
so, you know, like she does kind of start observing it, and it'll grow on command. Right? So I don't think she says, okay, I'm going to make it my dream man. But she start like the wheels start turning, you know, and she goes into her room and she finds like posters of men that we've loved,
Like
you know, on
boy
TV,
bands.
Hollywood,
Yes.
all that. And then she finally settles on a picture of George Clooney from ER.
Oh my God.
And she picks it up and she said, grow a brain with this image, right? Basically as reference. And it just looks at her and like, wah, wah, nothing happened.
Yeah. Okay.
Because, I mean, you could grow an arm or a hand, but then like grow a brain is like,
it's going to take a little bit more time. That one's not just instantaneous.
yes, a little challenging.
Okay.
So that's how it started happening. It didn't grow the brain first. It started growing it started growing the midsection first. And then it went up. But like she didn't see it all happen, right? Because she has to go to work. She sleeps. So
she's like, I'm going to wait on this. I'm going to sit on this while you grow this body.
She comes back after a time and it finally has a head. And it can say hello to her, but it still has no lower body.
Okay.
Right.
This is
and
upsetting.
Then,
This is more upsetting.
Her coworker comes knocking on her door. And she's like, oh my God, what do I do? But like, it's basically George Clooney from the ER.
Okay.
It looks like a real human.
So on
from
the outside
head to the torso.
Okay.
basically.
It is definitely like George Clooney.
Yeah. So she throws a throw blanket on it and opens the door. So the coworker's like, sorry, I'm interrupting.
Oh my God. So she's like, well, it's nice that you moved on to something.
Yeah.
And Vi's like, yeah, just think it's that and then please leave me alone.
Yeah, exactly. So the coworker says what she has to say, but she is like visibly taken by how man of a man this blob is, right?
Yeah.
She's just like, And so now, once it finally grows some leg, she's got this blob man living with her, but she's freaked out because she doesn't want it to go outside to like she doesn't want it to get hurt or worse, like reveal to the world what it is. So she locks it in her apartment.
Okay. And do we know, does it seem to have a brain or is aware of the fact that it's trapped?
I don't think at this point it does.
Okay.
It's just
It's still
learning
kind
how
of
to
like
say simple phrases
Yeah.
and like how to articulate itself
Okay.
or its thoughts, right? So the next day, she does the same thing, but it gets out. And it follows her to work.
Oh my God.
And it ends up hanging out with her and her colleague, Rachel. And then that day, she takes it home after her shift and she's just like, no, you have to stay home. And it tells her that it wants to go out because it's seen that people do that on TV. So she's really struggling at this point when she goes home. Like, she understands what it's saying, but at the same time, like, she feels very responsible for it.
Yeah. She's like,
You
I
know?
made you become a person. And so.
Yeah. She locks it in again, but also zip ties it so that it can't break away.
Okay.
I mean, yeah. So it cuts itself free.
New question. Does it still have like blob abilities?
No, at this point, it's like a blob man, right? It has muscle mass and density
Okay,
and all
so
the things,
it can
right?
get stuck. So he cuts himself free somehow.
Yeah. Cuts off his own hand
Oh.
to get free of the zip ties.
Wow. Does it bleed?
Oh, yes. Quite a bit. You know, it
I just
gets
wanna know
it
what
gets
happens.
really upset because it tells Vi it's enslaving her.
Okay. Yeah.
So, but imagine, right? This
Or
chat with my
she's
partner.
enslaving it.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes. So it survives cutting off its hand.
Yes, it does. there's a massive cleanup that has to happen at her apartment. And thank God her maintenance person doesn't ask a lot of questions because it is a pretty gory scene in her apartment.
Yes.
But anyway, it ends up running away and it moves in with the coworker Rachel and decides to marry her.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, good for them.
Yeah. I mean, Vi is at home depressed now again, like she was at the beginning of the novel.
Yeah, she's kind of back to square one.
Yeah. And then Rachel ends up knocking on her door again because they have a friendly relationship.
Right. They're like work besties, but that's spelled out under real life besties.
Yeah, exactly. Vi really has a hard time with interpersonal relationships, but she tries with Rachel. Like she really does. So Rachel ends up inviting her to her and Bob's engagement party, and she decides, okay, she's going to go. She finds Bob on the rooftop and he asks her, tell me who I am. She tells it, she thinks it's got it all figured out, right? It has a beautiful apartment, has a new fiance. They're going to move to Hollywood because Rachel wants to pursue her dream of like being an actress.
Well, good for her, yeah.
But like he is insisting and he's like on the edge of this rooftop, like looking out, but there's like this undercurrent of like, what if he jumps?
Yeah.
So he insists that she tell him who he is because she made him, right? So surely she knows
who he's supposed to be.
Yeah, who he's supposed to be. And she says, you're human. And he says, but I don't know how to be human. Mm-hmm. And neither does she.
Yeah, she's like, I mean, I've been struggling this entire time. I don't know why you
She enslaved a man and like locked it in her house and zip tied it.
Yeah.
So she is flawed, but she tells it like everybody has to figure that out for themselves.
Yeah, she's like, I literally can't tell you that.
Yeah, and she's also telling herself, which I find a really beautiful way to kind of dovetail like her character development and
kind of realizing that like, I guess I have to figure this out. I can stop running from it, I guess.
Yeah, just try to be better. Like we just try to be better humans, even though we make mistakes in our relationships.
And maybe kind of like be comfortable not being able to control that.
Yeah,
right? Because that seems to
exactly.
be like her issue as well. Is like
Life
trying to control everything.
Life. Yeah.
So how does the book end? Is it just like Bob and Rachel get married, or does he call off the wedding?
That's the end of the story. They
So
just
we
walk
don't
off the
know.
rooftop and life is gonna life. Yeah.
Wow. So it's called a love story, but it may not necessarily be their love story.
Exactly. It is a love story, but it's about our love story with life, having relationships, having all the experiences, the good, the bad, and learning the lessons that help us love ourselves.
So your first encounter with this book was from the Goodreads list, right?
Yeah, exactly. So I had seen this book on a previous Goodreads challenge like earlier in the year. And so I had added it to my TBR, but like as usual, I didn't get to it for months.
Yeah.
And I just felt like it just kept coming up.
The Goodreads challenges are those books that people recommend that you read.
So they split them up into categories, and I feel a lot of the times it's the people who work there who will build out a category. So this one was debut darlings, but they're also like acclaimed titles, right? So those would be in the category of like best reviewed books.
The debut darlings then are what the people who work for Goodreads believe are new books that a lot of people should check out.
I believe so. I don't exactly know how they work it behind the scenes, but
okay. But that's also, that informs us just like why you
picked
this book, right?
Yeah, and I just felt like it seemed unusual, right?
Oh,
like
for sure.
In terms of a concept, I was really intrigued with like how is she gonna fall in love with this thing, So yeah, and there is like a romance element to it, but I think she definitely just like latches onto it because she's having so many other problems like in her life at the time,
And this seems like something that she could do right, or at least control,
try.
or perhaps both of those at the same time.
Exactly.
So then moving more into like the meaning of it, like what made this book so meaningful to you while you were reading it? Like what stuck out to you about this book?
I think definitely the character development where she starts, and I truly feel like she is very depressed, like a very depressed character. You see her like lying under her bed sheets for days at a time, and then like as she grows this like friendship with Rachel, and as she grows, like as she literally grows the blob into being, right? She grows, she makes some development in herself, but then she pitfalls, right? Because you shouldn't zip tie your blob thing
right. Well, because
to your bed.
Seeming like a desire to be able to perfectly control everything around you, which is not going to work when it comes to people.
Go right. She wants it so badly to go right, but you can't
control that part. Like there's going to be an element, sort of like what you were saying before, but right, like there's going to be that element of randomness that you can never account for, and when you do, you're going to make yourself crazy.
Yeah, you can't control even your pets. Like even if it was just a pet, if she had turned it into a dog, you can't stop it from pooping in your house or destroying your shoes or whatever, and the answer is definitely not to cut off its paw or something,
right? Or put it in a tiny cage or leash it to the table. Like,
so I think that definitely attracted me to the character, and just to keep reading, because I definitely like seeing the psychology of like character development and how I can apply that in my own life as well.
Yeah, and interesting that she doesn't solve her problem at the end, but she perhaps identifies it, which is a good is an interesting, more nuanced way to deal with something. Like if you are reading it as depression, right? Sometimes that's not something you can solve.
Yeah.
But by identifying it, you can deal with it better. So that's an interesting way to look at it.
Yeah, and I think it's very true to life. Like I don't necessarily like books when you get a specific ending, because then you're kind of pigeonholed into like that's the way it is, right? So like here we can make up our own ending. Like Vi does overcome her depression, and there is somebody that she meets towards the end of the book that gives like a little hope that she would find somebody that's better matched to her as a person, like personality wise and interest wise. Because like you see Luke in the beginning, like you kind of understand they weren't meant to be together.
They don't really match.
They weren't very well matched together. So I feel like the open-endedness of it is more interesting in that way.
So then what meaning do you think that other people could find in this book? Or another way to say that is, what do you think makes this book a tale of our time? A recently debuted tale of our time.
I think this is definitely a tale of our time because it's set in the real world, but there's that element of scientific element, right? Like sci-fi, like it could be real and this might happen, just like people like believe in aliens, or people believe in like the universe and energy, and whatever you believe, it all plays into your life and like how you bring yourself into the world and how you go through your experiences. And I think even though like we probably won't find a blob behind an alleyway anytime soon, we can definitely look at ourselves and say, like, question ourselves. Am I doing the right thing by this person? Am I being true to myself? Are there things that I can work on? And I think the answer is yes, like all the time.
Yeah, kind of look at it as like a metaphor for potentially like growing a relationship, right? And like, am I doing right by this person, like you said, or like are there other steps that I could be taking that would make this relationship better for the both of us? Is this relationship potentially even right for the both of us? Yeah. Right? Like, and am I doing my best in this? So we're unfortunately out of time.
Aww.
But if you could give The Blob a one-phrase subtitle of your very own, what would that be?
It would be called The Blob, a self-love story.
Oh, wait, that's nice. The love story to self-love story. Oh, yeah. I love that.
There's just a little extra you can put in that title.
Oh, that makes the ending feel better for me. So, Kris, thank you so much for coming on the show.
It was my pleasure.
Especially, like, I wish you well in your future travels. Thanks for joining us during your time here. We had fun talking to you.
I loved it. It was such a fun experience, and it definitely gives me ideas of how to be creative when I go back home. And
yeah. And remember that you can always check her out on Goodreads. What was your Goodreads tag again?
KrisLoves.toread. That's KrisLoves.TOREAD.
So if you like these takes, you can check her out there. But in the meantime, thank you to all of you for listening here at Radio Taiwan International. This has been Tales of Our Time. I was your host, Amanda Stevens. And again, with our guest today, Kris St.Amour Denis.
Thank you so much, everybody. Bye-bye.
And we were talking about Blob, a self-love story, a tale of our time. We'll see you next time.